Hi, today I'll take you through patient registration on Syhos. So once you've logged on to Syhos, just click on the registration button on your left. Once you click, it will give you the registration window where you have an option of searching for the patient records or registering a new patient. So we'll first start with registering a new patient. So just click on the new button. Then all the fields that are in red are mandatory. You have to indicate the patient details as guided. You have two options of entering the date of birth. You can either enter the age or you can select the date and month plus the year of birth if you need to be precise. Then proceed to select the gender. Then indicate the physical address of the patient. You can also indicate the passport number or ID of the patient. Then the mobile number is restricted to the number of digits as set out by your administrator. Provide the next of kin detail. Please ensure that you register as much information as you can get from the patient in the case that you may need to get contacts. Then you have three payment modes. You have cash prepay, credit, and postpay. Cash prepay will ensure that patients pay before they are accorded services. Credit patients will help in the case of insurance and company patients. Then the postpay will allow patients to pay for services after all visiting all service departments. So in most cases we use cash prepay. In this case we are going to select cash prepay. Then you have an option to enter comments that you would wish other service departments to note about the patient. So once you indicate this comment, it is visible in all departments. Once the patient record is accessed, then you will note that the patient has no number yet. The system automatically generates the patient number. Then you have two modes of patients. You have the medical record patient and you have the over-the-counter patient. Medical records patient will track their history and visits in the hospital with their notes and medical records. Over-the-counter patients are patients who are only here for a single service, may never walk in again to the hospital. So it's always good, advisable to keep the medical record in the case where you feel the patient might visit the institution again. So once you've selected your option, medical records, then you can click on save, and upon saving, if you get such an error, it means that you have not registered the patient with the stipulated number of characters. So in our case, our telephone codes are supposed to have a maximum of 10, a minimum of 10. So we have to indicate 10 digits on the patient's mobile number. This is very important in the case you're searching for records or you wish to send communication to your different patients. So it's always advisable to get the correct patient number. So once you've done that, you can now save, and upon saving you will get a patient registration number, which is the same as the barcode of the patient. So once you have that, just click OK. So you can verify the patient details once again before you proceed to book or register the patient for another, if you need to book the patient for a service in the hospital. So kindly verify the details of the patient before proceeding, and once you've done that, you can now proceed to book. If you need to edit the details of the patient, just click on activities. Then you have various options. You have the edit patient option. So once you click on the edit patient option, depending on whether you have the rights to modify patient details, enter your username and password as provided, and the text fields will now be editable for you to change the details of the patient. Then from there you can save once again. So in this case our patient is not cash, they are under insurance, so we are going to select the insurance that our hospital covers. So we have, in the case of Heritage Insurance, then once you've selected the insurance, you can choose the company that the patient is under. So from our Heritage Insurance, we have these customers. So in the case we have Airtel, then you will be required to provide a patient membership number, then indicate the principal member or dependent. If the patient is the principal member, select principal member. If the patient is a dependent of whoever is under this cover, select dependent. So once you verify the patient details and you feel they are okay, proceed to save. So in this case, it will still retain the membership, the patient number, since this patient, we were only editing the details of this patient. So once you have that, you can now proceed to book the patient for whatever service you need to book them for. So in our case, our patient is visiting the hospital for consultation, so we'll proceed and book. So once we click on book, we have the default billing window, which indicates the details of the patient, gives us an option to search for whatever we are billing the patient under, and we have the comment that we indicated. So on this window, I can click on description and type in the service I want to bill the patient. You also have an option, you can click on quick find and find for items that correspond to the name of the item that you're billing. So you can search for as many records as you have. You have various search criteria. You can search by item name or by group. So from here, in the case that we want a consultation for a non-resident doctor, you can double click, and automatically, if you click on the amount, it's going to pick up the default amount that the patient is supposed to pay for this. So from there, you will be required to assign this to the specific doctor who is going to see the patient. So once again, you can click on the drop down and you can get the name of the doctors available in the hospital. You can also use quick find to find the name of your doctor. So in this case, I can have my doctor as Dr. Richard. Then once I've selected my doctor, I will be required to tag an associated item. So for this patient, once they come in for consultation, they have to go through triage, so that is why it's an associated item. So if I'm going to take their triage, I can select that and save. If I do not require vital signs, I can remove and proceed to save. So it will only bill for the consultation and disregard the vital signs. So once I've selected this patient has to go for vital signs, I can now proceed and save. So it will give a patient queue number for that day's visit. So this is patient number 2 on our queue list, and I can click OK to send and advise the patient to proceed to the next service department. In the case of credit patients, it's going to give the invoice number of the patient for that visit. You also have the same invoice number on top, on your top right. So once you have saved that, you can post all and advise patient to move on to the next service department. In the case of cash patients, it will require them to move forward to the cashier for the cashier to receive the payment. So we are done with our patient for today on the registration bit. So if we need to close these windows, you can use the top right X button to close that window. And if you want to search for the patient again that you have registered, click on registration, click on search. You have various options. You have several search criteria that you can use. So you can use the patient number that we got, the patient mobile number you entered, the ID, the next of kin details, but the most appropriate should be name and number. So if the patient has name, you can search. So we have a patient called Syhos. So we have several Syhos patients. So we can proceed to select that this was our patient. So we just click on the patient and select. So once we select, it will give us the patient details as previously registered and the history of their visit in the hospital, and indicating whether they have any balances with us. You also have an option of registering the patient's biometric and photo identification details. So you can take a patient photo using your webcam, or you can take the biometric using the biometrics devices that you've been provided with. So to register patient biometrics, click on activities, select biometrics offline. So if you do not have your biometric drivers installed, you will not be in a position to indicate that. You can also take the patient's photo. So just click on the photo, then select the webcam that you have. If you have a webcam installed, you will get the photo taken for the patient. So once again, thank you for your time. There was patient registration on Syhos. Please feel free to inquire if you need more clarification.